Okay, solving radical equations. I'm going to start off with problems that only involve one square root. And the rules are pretty simple when we're dealing with a problem that only has one square root. All you need to do is get the square root by itself and square both sides. So if you only deal with one square root, get the square root by itself and square both sides. So in this case, the square root's by itself. Nothing else is happening on the outside. So I can go ahead and square both sides here. So I get 3x plus 3 equals 81. Subtract 3 from both sides. 3x equals 78. Divide by 3. X equals, let's see, 26. And then that's going to be your solution right there, okay? Only thing with this is you need to make sure you plug it back in to make sure it does work out. So 3 times 26 plus 3. 3 times 26 is 78 plus 3, so square root of 81 equals 9. Life's good. The only thing you need to make sure of is this thing on the outside right there is not negative, okay? If this piece is negative, we have a square root equals a negative number, it's going to be no solution. So please make sure that you're solving that correctly. So let's look at another type of problem. Let's say 25 equals 5 times the square root of 1 minus 3x. First step, get the square root by itself. Well, what's happening to the square root? It's being multiplied by 5. So to undo that, we're going to divide by 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5 equals square root 1 minus 3x. It's at this step we need to check ourselves, does the square root equal a positive number? And the answer to that is yes, square root equals a positive number, so we can solve it. If a square root would equal a negative number here, then it's no solution. So make sure you get it down to where a square root equals a number and then check that. So square root's by itself, square both sides. 25 equals 1 minus 3x. Subtract 1. 24 equals negative 3x divided by negative 3. Negative 8 equals x. And that is a fine solution. No problems there. X can equal a negative number. You cannot have a square root that equals a negative number. So x equaling a negative number, fine. Square root equals a negative number, not okay. All right, let's look at one more type problem. I want you to try this one on your own, and then once you're done with it, hit the play button. All right, so you have to get the square root by itself. Subtract 10 from both sides. 4 equals square root x plus 1. Square root equals a positive number, so we can solve it. Square both sides. 16 equals x plus 1. Subtract 1. 15 equals x. And there we go. That would be our solution. So that's what we have to do when dealing with one square root in an equation. Another type of problem is when we have a square root equals a square root. And there we go. It's not a video by Coach Powers unless your phone flips over. So there we go. Now we're official. So square root equals square root. This is extremely simple. Nothing else is happening. Square both sides. Okay? Square root equals square root. Square both sides and be done with it. So here's your first type of problem. X plus 4 equals square root of 2x plus 7. All right? Square root equals square root. There is nothing else going on. Square both sides. So we get x plus 4 equals 2x plus 7. Okay? Get all the x's on one side, so subtract x. 4 equals x plus 7. Subtract 7. Negative 3 equals x. And it's fine for x to be a negative. The square roots equal each other, so there we go. That's going to be our solution. All right, one last problem that we're going to look at is where we have a variable on the outside. And this is a little bit complex, so make sure you have some space to do this. So, negative 3 equals negative x plus square root 2x minus 6. Okay, dealing with a problem like this, the way that you need to solve it is get the square root by itself again. So we're going to add x to both sides. So we get x minus 3 equals square root of 2x minus 6. Okay? Once we're at a place like this, the square root's by itself, so we square both sides. However, this time there's just not a number over there. The left side or the right side, pretty simple. 2x minus 6, nothing's changed with that. But remember, x minus 3 squared is really x minus 3 times x minus 3. So you can either do FOIL or box, whichever way you would like to do this. I'll just show you box method because I know quite a few of you like box. X times x, x squared, x times negative 3, negative 3x. Negative 3 times x, negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Okay, so this turns out to be x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals 2x minus 6. So remember, you have to FOIL out that side. Now we have to get it set equal to 0. So this step here was get square root by itself. All of this was basically FOIL or box method, whichever way you want to look at that. Now, from here down, this is going to be solving quadratics. Subtract 2x, add 6. X squared minus 8x plus 15 equals 0. All right, it's a quadratic. You know what to do with this. Factor it. Multiplies to give 15, adds to give negative 8. Negative 3, negative 5. X minus 3, x minus 5 equals 0. Take our problem, split it up. X minus 3 equals 0. X minus 5 equals 0. X equals positive 3. X equals positive 5. Simply just adding it to both sides. Now, this is where we have to be extremely careful. We need to go back up to the step wherever we had the square root by itself. So x minus 3 equals square root of 2x minus 6. This will work out fine as long as this piece is positive, because you remember a square root can't equal a negative. So we just need to plug in over here. 3 minus 3. So plugging in that piece into x. You get 0. A square root can equal 0, so that's fine. Plug that in for x. 5 minus 3. You get 2. Positive number, everything's good. Both of them are solutions. So the question is, what happens if, let's say that I had x equals 1 for a solution. I'll plug it in, I get 1 minus 3, so I get negative 2. At that point, 1 would not be a solution because the square root has to equal something positive. But in this case, we came out to 0 and a positive number. Both of them are solutions. So if you have a variable on the outside, this is what you need to do. Get the square root by itself, square both sides, which is what you're used to doing, but just make sure you FOIL. And then you simply solve the quadratic. A lot of times you're going to end up factoring right here. And then down here at the bottom, check solutions. Okay, go back to the place where the square root was by itself, plug it back in, make sure that both solutions are going to work. So that's all of your scenarios. you're going to see some problems that look like this, where you have 2 square roots and a number. Don't do this. Skip it. Okay? If you really want some bonus credit and would like some extra credit on the test or something, come see me. I'll show you how to do that problem. But that problem's extremely difficult. We can do problems like this, 1 square root and a variable. I don't want you to do 2 square roots and a number. That problem right now, just skip over it. If you're ahead and you want some extra bonus, then come see me. Hopefully that helps you with solving square roots. So once you get all these notes, come get the worksheet. Make sure you check your worksheet and we'll show you how to do graphing radicals.